Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the third eagle of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. One of our WFRN family members, a young lady who uses the handle Snowland, received 2 dreams recently, which, like most, if not all of her previous dreams, are about the fallen spiritual state of our Roman Catholic Church. Her second dream is most interesting because St. Padre Pio appeared to her and gave 2 end times prophecies, one for Paris, France, and the other for our remnant Catholic Church. But first, let's look at Snowland's dream, the huge black doors to hell dream, which precedes and is related to her Padre Pio dream. Snowland begins, first slide. It's been a long while since I had a dream. Until recently, I had 2 dreams. When we last spoke, that is when Snowland spoke to me, August 22nd, 2025, the very next day on August 23rd, 2025, now, Paula pointed out that 2 before 3 is the decimal point 666, which is an indication of what to expect in this dream. And Snowland continues, I had a new dream. In this dream, I was going to a church, the one I normally go to Mass in, real life, for a normal Mass. Now, Snowland told me she goes to the Saturday afternoon Mass. I entered and took a seat on the brown pew on my right side. Snowland says she sits on the second to front pew, that is behind the wheelchairs. Of course, my sister was with me in my dream. Snowland told me that she and her sister Sayako always go to Mass together. We were waiting for Mass to start when a huge crowd entered the church and took seats everywhere, even around us, filling the pews up. Snowland told me that this is a very unusual occurrence. Now, Paula said, the huge attendance means that people are drawn to the synodal church. Second slide. Mass began and everything was going smoothly until the very end. Paula noted that Snowland's phrase, the very end, refers to these end times. As soon as the Mass ended normally, a strange, huge, black, oval, double door appeared out of nowhere, and it opened up at the altar in front of the tabernacle and table. Now, the word strange would indicate unexpected or not normal. Huge and black would indicate evil. Think Blackheart. Paula notes that the oval double door is a hellish portal because it blocked the Lord's altar and tabernacle. Snowland continues. In doing so, one of the most illuminating lights I have ever seen beams out of it. Now, my observation is that Lucifer is called the light bearer because he creates a false light to captivate the people. The people that attended Mass were minding their own business, acting like it was normal, greeting people, think synodality. They didn't seem to take notice, they are clueless, or be bothered by the beaming bright lights, nor question the doors. That's because they are hell-bent. But they did use those same doors that appeared from nowhere to exit the church. Now, as Jesus said in Matthew 6, the road to destruction is wide, and many there are that find it. Sounds like Snowland's dream. Third slide. Another set of identical doors appeared to my right side toward the exit and opened up in the same manner as the first set of doors. Snowland's message here is that being conservative politically, that is on the right, does not equate with being holy. And Snowland continues. And those same bright illuminating lights seeped out as well. My sister and I ended up talking about the strange phenomenon. But in the end, we just stood up from our pews and went walking towards the back of the church, which is the main entrance, and walked home. The end of my dream. It should be noted here that Snowland and her sister avoided the hellish portals to exit the church. In Snowland's next dream, Padre Pio shows what happens to the church when so many Catholics leave through these portals to hell. So now we will decode Snowland's second dream, Padre Pio's prophecy for France and the church, which she received on September 27, 2025. First slide. This dream was a little different than all the rest I've ever had. It was the first time that a beautiful saint was in my dream. In this dream, I was somewhere unknown to me, but it was like a big meeting room. In this meeting room, the tables and chairs were disorganized and scattered, almost like the people ran out in a panic, not caring and organizing anything. There was trash on the floor, but not a lot, despite having a trash can in the corner of the room. Now, please note, this is how people who exit the church through a portal to hell will leave the church, in a mess. At least that's how I see this. Paula asked, is this the synod on synodality? And Snowland continues. On my left side, there was one table that was round and organized with 3 chairs tucked under. Now, 3 chairs indicate the Trinity and the true remnant Catholic Church. So I went up to it and took a seat. One chair is on my left and the other in front of me, and they were normal chairs without armrests. Second slide. Suddenly, St. Padre Pio walked up to me with a tender smile, and I was pleasantly surprised to see him. He was in his brown robe with a light brown rope tied around his waist, looking very young and skinny. He then stood next to me at my right side, and I studied his face. He had a very serious look. He told me to look at the television behind me, which surprised me. So I turned around to see a plasma TV mounted on the wall. But it seems that he turned it on when an image appeared. Now, it's interesting to me that Padre Pio gives his 2 prophecies in Snowland's dream through a television set. Snowland continues. It happens to be a before and after picture with a line drawn in the middle. I examined the image of Paris, France. The top was a color image of beautiful Paris with the Eiffel Tower. It was a sunny day with a few clouds passing by. The below image was a black and white image of a destroyed Paris. Third slide. The Eiffel Tower was destroyed. The only thing that remained were the legs, just above ground level, still standing. Everything around it was war-torn or something similar. Now, I asked Snowland if the destruction might have been caused by an earthquake instead of war, but she said she wasn't sure. Next to the left leg of the Eiffel Tower was a house roof. Everything around it seemed rubble and a pile of lumber that could be from houses or shopping centers nearby. Now, Paula interjected at this point. In this dream, Paris stands for the entire nation of France, and I agree with Paula. The eldest daughter of the church, which has fallen from grace into ruins, including their iconic landmark. The Eiffel Tower was actually constructed so that each leg is placed along one of the 4 main compass points. So it's possible that this dream concerns the whole world. Now, neither Snowland nor myself had ever heard about that particular feature of the Eiffel Tower, but it's very pertinent. Now, Snowland continues. I turned to see St. Padre Pio walking away. We spoke, but I could not remember the conversation. I told him I have to go outside for some fresh air due to the impact of our conversation, which I can't remember. After I left, St. Padre Pio began Mass. Now, Snowland is indicating here that Padre Pio is beginning to say Mass back inside the meeting room. Slide 4. I came back from the meeting room. I came back inside the meeting room. And this time my friend came into the room. She was very happy to see me and took a seat in front of me I was sitting on earlier. Now, Paula says this indicates that the friend took a seat of a higher rank. I asked Snowland about this woman, and she said certain things about her that made me believe that Paula is right about her status. Snowland continues. I went over to her, and then I stopped to hear her say, "Guys, look what I got." She pulls out a square brown bag and opens it. She pulled out a monstrance with the Holy Eucharist in it for adoration. It shocked me at first, but I bowed down and made the sign of the cross. I did not expect that from her at all. She said, "Isn't it nice? Now we can adore Jesus." I was in complete shock, since you cannot do that at all as a layman. I wanted to speak up, but St. Padre Pio walked over to me and said to look again at the television. I turned around and it played a fast recording. So once again, a television program reveals Padre Pio's second prophecy. With this fast recording, Padre Pio seems to be saying that this tribulation time we are in now will speed up. Slide 5. I was able to see what appears to be a man sitting down on a long white pew. Now, Paula says he represents the Holy Catholic Church, which has existed for a long time. He was reciting a rosary. He seemed to be in his first decade of the rosary on his 7th bead. Paula noted that 1 and 7 equals 17, which indicates victory. Jesus resurrected on the 17th of the Hebrew month of Nisan. It means the rosary obtains victory. Snowland continues. He was just minding his own business. He does not participate in synodality, in other words. It seems he was in a tiny setup of a church or in an adoration chapel. And this probably means a small refuge of the remnant Catholic Church. Behind him, the walls were black with a little purple. In liturgical colors, black equals sorrow and purple equals penance. On the man's right side, a young man that looked like a priest came out from a confessional booth and walked up to the man. He was wearing a white alb, and on his left shoulder he was wearing 2 stoles. The colors were purple for penance, and the second stole was black for sorrow. In other words, the same as the colors on the walls. It seemed that he was wearing them over his left shoulder like you wear a handbag. Paula notes that since stoles should be worn behind the neck and over both shoulders, and since only one stole should be worn at a time, it's very possible that these 2 stoles over one shoulder in the dream might very well also symbolize the scapular and the rosary. And Snowland continues to the end, and she says, "This is the end of my dream." So thanks to Snowland for revealing these two very significant end times prophecies, especially the concluding dream from Saint Padre Pio. And as I said, he gave them through a television set. You will find many, many visions recounted on YouTube from various seers, but I can't think of any that are one, given through Padre Pio, or two that are given by a vision within a dream, or three by a television program. Now I hope my feeble presentation today here has given this amazing prophecy justice. And I also want to thank Paula for providing the bulk of my interpretation. And if you would like any more information about my ministry here on YouTube, write to me at William Tapley, Post Office Box 291, Osage, Iowa 50461, or visit my website, thirdeaglemedia.com. And I hope to see all of you again on my next prophecy video.